The stars were never silent, carried whispers, signals, and sometimes warnings. For years, Earth had listened. Sometimes they heard friendly greetings, sometimes strange echoes. But then one night, the message came that changed everything. It was not a greeting. It was not a warning. It was a declaration. The voice that reached Earth was not human. It was deep, sharp, and filled with hate. "Humans," the voice said, "your sins have stained the galaxy. Your existence offends the holy flame. The council of the faithful has spoken. You are unclean. You are cursed. We declare holy war upon your world. You will be burned. You will be erased." The message spread across every screen, every satellite, every broadcast. Billions of people stopped breathing for a moment. Some thought it was a trick. Some thought it was a joke. But it was real, and soon they saw proof. Ships appeared near the edge of the solar system. Not one, not 10, hundreds. They were dark shapes covered with glowing symbols, their weapons pointed at Earth. Panic broke out. In the streets, people screamed. Governments tried to calm the world, but fear spread faster than words. The aliens called themselves the Zoroth. To them, war was not about land, not about money, but about faith. They believed the galaxy had been given to them by their gods. And now they claimed Earth was a nest of demons that had to be destroyed. The Council of the Faithful demanded surrender. "Kneel," they said, "and we may grant mercy. Resist, and you will be wiped out." For days, Earth's leaders argued. Some wanted to beg for peace. Some wanted to fight. United Earth Command gathered in secret. The generals and scientists sat in the dark, staring at the alien fleets. Humanity was advanced, but not like them. The Zoroth had faster ships, stronger weapons, and a holy fury that made them fearless. On the third day, the aliens attacked. Their first strike was not on cities, but on the moon. They shattered bases, tore apart satellites, and sent fire raining down into space. The world watched the explosions, the burning pieces falling toward Earth's atmosphere. Fear turned into rage. Humanity had been attacked before in history, but never like this. Yet, in the shadows of fear, something else was moving. Something the aliens did not know about. Something even many humans had forgotten. Deep under the mountains, in hidden bases, black doors were opening. Files marked as myths and legends were unlocked. Old experiments, buried projects, and forbidden research that had been locked away after the last World War were being studied again. Not machines, not ships, something darker. Something alive. The generals whispered a word that had not been spoken for years. Project Demon. When the aliens struck again, this time at Mars colonies, humanity's answer was still silence.
Oh.
The alien priests laughed, believing Earth was broken. They declared the humans cowards. They promised to bring holy fire to every city. Silence, in the heart of Earth, the first demon woke. It was not a creature of magic. It was not born from hell. It was human-made, born from science that was too dangerous, too cruel to be used. A weapon that had been built during the darkest times of Earth's history. It had been locked away because no one wanted to see it again. No one except now. The first demon opened its eyes. Its body was human, but not. Its strength was human, but far greater. Its mind carried human memories, but twisted with something. Else something hungry. The generals looked at it through glass walls. One of them whispered, "God forgive us. We're about to unleash monsters upon monsters." The demon only smiled above Earth. The Zoroth prepared their next wave. Their priests sang. Their fleets moved closer. They believed the war was already won. They had seen weak humans cry on their screens. They thought this war would be holy, easy, clean, but they did not know what humanity was about to release. They did not know what demons haunted Earth's past. They did not know that humans had already fought their own monsters and won. Night before the next battle, the world held its breath. Soldiers prepared, families prayed, leaders signed orders that would change history, and in the darkness of the base, the first demon spoke for the first time. Its voice was calm but cold. "Send me." Outside, the alien fleets glowed with holy fire. Inside, humanity prepared to answer with something far worse. The war had just begun. The Zorith fleets moved closer to Earth. Their ships filled the black sky, their glowing symbols shining like fire in the void. They believed this was victory before battle. To them, humans were only animals with toys, too weak to resist the will of their gods. But the humans were not silent anymore. Deep under the ground, hidden bases came alive with alarms, red lights, and the sound of heavy doors opening. Inside, the demon waited, sat calmly on a steel chair, its body covered with black armor that looked grown, not built. Its eyes glowed faintly like embers in the dark. A general stood in front of the glass, his voice steady but heavy. "Do you understand your mission?" The demon tilted its head, studying him. "Destroy the holy invaders," it said in a low voice. "Break their faith." No one in the room spoke after that. They all felt it, the weight of the thing they had created. It was human, but also something else, something dangerous. When the first transport opened, the demon stepped inside. Soldiers whispered to each other, avoiding its eyes. One of them muttered, "We're sending a monster to fight monsters." Another answered, "Better our monster than theirs." Above, the alien fleets began their holy chant. Thousands of voices echoed across space, carried by strange energy that shook the airwaves. "Burn the unclean. Burn the cursed world." Their priests raised their hands, calling their gods to witness the destruction. The demon's ship launched. It was not a normal fighter, but a special craft designed to hide from scanners. Silent, black, invisible. It cut through space like a shadow. Aliens did not see it coming. The first battle began near Mars' orbit. The Zorith fired beams of white fire that melted steel in seconds. Human ships tried to resist, but their lines broke quickly. On the ground, soldiers screamed as alien firestorms fell upon their colonies. Families were torn apart. The Zorith priests declared victory again. Then the demon arrived. It landed silently on one of the Zorith battleships. The aliens did not notice at first. They were too busy firing at human ships. But then, the demon tore through the hull like it was paper. It entered the corridors, moving with impossible speed. The first Zorith soldiers it met laughed. They believed no human could defeat them in close combat. They raised their blades of burning plasma, chanting holy words. The demon did not speak. It moved like a shadow. One strike, two strikes, and the soldiers fell. Their weapons clattered. To the floor, their glowing symbols dimmed. More came. The demon fought them all, not with fear, not with hesitation. It was not a soldier. It was something made for only one purpose: war without mercy. On the command bridge, Zorith priests watched, their screens in confusion. They saw corridors filled with blood. They saw their soldiers vanish one by one. Their holy chants broke into fear. "What is this?" one priest screamed. "What weapon is this?" When the demon reached the bridge, the priests tried to call on their gods. They raised their glowing staves, demanding holy fire. But the demon only walked closer. "You wanted demons," it said quietly. "Now you will face them." The lights went dark. The screams were heard across the ship. From Earth, generals watched as the massive alien battleship went silent.
I'll never.
Explosions. No warning. It simply stopped moving. "Is it?" "Destroyed," one officer whispered. The general shook his head. "Not destroyed. Taken." Minutes later, the human screens flickered. The image was shocking. It was the demon, standing on the alien command bridge, surrounded by the dead. The ship's holy banners hung torn behind it. The demon spoke, its voice broadcast to every alien fleet. "Your gods do not protect you. Your faith cannot save you. Declared a holy war on humanity. You will learn what true demons are." Silence filled the alien fleets. For the first time, the Zorith priests did not sing. Their holy words froze. In their throats, fear entered them. On Earth, people who had been crying now cheered. They saw hope. They saw that the impossible was not impossible, but the generals were not cheering. They looked at each other with worry. One of them whispered, "It works, but can we control it?" The demon looked at the camera one last time. Its eyes burned brighter. And then the screen went black. The first battle was over. Humanity had shown its answer, but in the silence that followed, everyone, human and alien, knew one thing. The war was only beginning, and the demons of Earth were only waking up. The stars above Mars were quiet again, but not for long. The Zorath fleet circled like vultures, waiting for the next strike. Their priests whispered angry prayers, demanding answers from their gods. A single human creation, a demon, had turned one of their holy warships into a graveyard. That was not supposed to happen. The priests shouted in their temples aboard the fleets. "This is blasphemy. No human can kill the chosen warriors of the holy flame." But fear had already started spreading. Soldiers who once marched without hesitation now looked over their shoulders. They whispered about shadows moving through the dark. They whispered about demons that bled nothing and killed without mercy. On Earth, the people cheered, but the leaders sat in silence. Inside the war room, the generals stared at the black screen. They had unleashed something terrible and it had worked. But none of them could ignore the truth. The demon was not a weapon you controlled. It was a weapon you unleashed. One general broke the silence. "We cannot stop now. They will return in greater numbers." Another hesitated. "Do you mean releasing more of them?" The room grew colder. They all knew what he meant. Humanity had not created just one demon. Project Demon had many. Some were locked in deep stasis, never meant to open, till now. In the underground base, the first demon stood in silence, waiting for orders. Scientists observed it, recording every movement. They were afraid to step closer. It did not breathe like a human. It did not blink often. When it spoke, it chose words carefully, like someone studying the meaning of every sound. One scientist dared to ask, "Why do you fight for us?" The demon's eyes glowed. "I was made to fight. That is enough." Scientist shivered. There was no emotion, no humanity in that voice, only purpose. Above Earth, the Zorath launched their next assault. This time, they sent not one fleet, but 3. Thousands of ships lit up the night, turning space into fire. Their priests wanted to prove their god's power again. They targeted Earth directly, preparing to rain fire on cities. But this time, Earth was ready. The generals gave the order. Deep under the mountains, more black doors opened. Steam and cold mist poured into the hallways as chambers unlocked. From within came more figures, taller, stronger, stranger than the first. Their eyes glowed in different colors, red, blue, gold, each one unique, but all born of the same terrible science. The soldiers who guarded the base could not look away. One whispered, "How many did they make?" "Too many," another answered. The demons did not speak to each other. But when they stood together, the air seemed heavier. The first demon stepped forward, looking at the generals. "We are ready." In orbit, the battle began. Human fleets fired desperately, but the Zorath pressed forward, their weapons cutting through steel. Cities on Earth prepared for impact, alarms screaming across the globe. Billions watched the skies, waiting for fire to fall. Then the demons were sent. They did not fly in human ships this time. They were launched in black capsules, hurled directly into the heart of the Zorath fleets. The aliens thought it was debris. They laughed at the humans' weakness, till the capsules opened. Out poured the demons. They leaped through space with impossible speed, ripping into ships with claws and blades fused into their bodies. They tore through armored corridors, silencing entire crews. Alien screams filled the communication channels. On one ship, a priest tried to call on the holy flame. He raised his staff high and shouted, "Your gods cannot be touched." The red-eyed demon crushed him with a single strike. "Your gods are not here," it said coldly. On another vessel, golden-eyed demon entered the temple, where dozens of Zorath prayed for victory. The air turned silent when they saw its shadow. Some tried to fight. Others fell to their knees. None survived. In space, the one's mighty fleets began to break apart. Ships burned. Symbols of faith floated broken in the void. And through it all, the demons moved like hunters in a dark forest. On Earth, the people watched in awe and horror. Their screens showed shadows tearing through alien ships. For the first time, the Holy War did not look holy at all. It looked like a nightmare, and humanity was the one sending it. The cheering stopped. Fear spread even among humans. Families whispered to each other, "Are they saving us or replacing us?" In the war room, the generals saw the same question in each other's eyes. One of them finally said what they were all thinking. "If the Zorath fear them, good. But what happens when we fear them too?" No one answered. Up in orbit, the demons stood on the ruins of alien ships, surrounded by fire and silence. The first demon raised its head and looked toward the planet below. "More will come," it said. "Let them come. We will show them true war." And in that moment, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. The Holy Crusade had turned into something else. Something darker. Something the Zorath had never imagined. The war had only just begun, and the demons of Earth were no longer sleeping. The ruins of the Zorath fleets still burned in orbit. Broken ships floated like shattered temples. Where the priests once sang holy hymns, there was now only silence. The galaxy had watched the battle, and the galaxy was afraid. The Zorath had declared a holy war with fire and faith. But humanity had answered with something far darker. They had answered with demons. Across alien worlds, rumors spread quickly. Traitors, spies, and travelers carried the same words. The humans have unleashed monsters. Some laughed, thinking it was an exaggeration. Others believed every whisper. But one truth remained: the Zorath had been defeated, and that had never happened before. On Earth, the people cheered, but their joy was uneasy. Screens showed the demons standing on alien wreckage, their glowing eyes burning in the dark. The crowds wanted to believe they were saviors. But deep down, they asked the same question. Are they protecting us, or are they something worse? Inside the war room, Earth's leaders faced that same fear. Reports came in from the bases. The demons were powerful, unstoppable, but also unpredictable. Some refused food. Some stood for hours without moving. One simply stared at a wall, whispering words no one understood. A general leaned over the table. "They obey for now. But how long before they stop obeying?" Another answered coldly, "As long as the Zorath keep coming, we don't have a choice." Silence followed. Everyone knew the truth. Humanity had traded safety for danger, and there was no turning back. Far away, in the Zorath holy capital, the high priests gathered in a grand temple of fire. The flames burned tall, reaching toward the stars. But the priests did not sing. Their voices trembled. One slammed his staff on the floor. "How can this be? The flame chose us. The galaxy belongs to us." Another shouted, then explained the demons. "Explain how the cursed humans turned our fleets to ash." The council argued, their faith shaken. Some wanted to retreat and rebuild. Others demanded more ships, more warriors. But the high priest, taller and older than all of them, raised his hands for silence. His voice was deep and heavy. "The gods are testing us," he said. "The humans bring demons because they are demons themselves. This is no war of planets. This is war of purity. If we retreat, our gods will turn away. We must burn Earth completely. We must bring every ship, every blade, every prayer. Only holy fire can cleanse this evil." The council obeyed. Orders were sent. The Zorath Holy Crusade grew larger than ever before. Entire worlds gave their fleets. Millions of warriors were called to arms. This was no longer just a war, it was becoming a galactic purge. Back on Earth, the first demon was silent in its chamber. Scientists studied it, but it showed little interest in them. When asked questions, it gave short answers. When asked about the future, it only said, "More war." But something was changing. At night, cameras recorded the demon whispering to the others. No one could hear the words, but the demons seemed to understand each other perfectly. They did not sleep, only waited. One young soldier guarding the chamber asked his captain, "Do you think they talk about us?" The captain didn't answer. He only checked his weapon twice. Days later, the Zorath came again. This time, it was not hundreds of ships. It was tens of thousands. The sky lit up like a second sun as their fleets spread across the solar system. Priests chanted louder than ever, declaring this would be the final crusade. They promised their gods that no human would survive. Earth shook with fear. Evacuation orders were given. TDs prepared shelters. Children cried as sirens echoed in the night. The generals gave one order: release them all. Every chamber opened. Dozens of demons stepped into the light. Their glowing eyes pierced the darkness of the underground base. They moved in silence, but the air around them felt heavy, as if even the walls feared them. When the first demon looked toward the sky, its voice carried across the room. They come with fire. We will answer with shadows. The launch began. Dozens of black capsules shot into space, cutting silently toward the holy fleets. The Zorith priests laughed when they saw them. Weak human tricks. They shouted. But the laughter ended when the capsules opened. The battle that followed was nothing like before. It was chaos. It was nightmare. The demons spread across the fleets, striking at once from every direction. Alien ships fell in silence. Priests screamed prayers that went unanswered. The holy war began to look like slaughter. On Earth, people watched the screens in horror. They had begged for victory, but the images were too much to celebrate. Ships torn open, thousands of aliens dead in minutes, glowing eyes walking calmly through fire. The demons did not fight like soldiers. They fought like predators. In the war room, a general whispered, "This is not defense anymore. This is extinction." And still, the battle raged on. The Zorith had come with faith. Humanity had answered with something worse than faith. Even gods might fear. The solar system burned like a battlefield of gods. The Zorith fleets stretched from Mars to Jupiter, a wall of holy fire that glowed brighter than the stars. Their priests filled every channel with chants, calling upon the flame to cleanse Earth forever. But the chants turned to screams. The demons had arrived. They fell upon the holy fleets like shadows given flesh. Their black forms tore through ships, their glowing eyes burning through the darkness. They moved faster than scanners could follow, killing before alarms could sound. The holy war became a slaughter. On one battleship, thousands of Zorath warriors stood ready, blades raised, shields glowing with sacred symbols. They shouted their battle cries, believing their gods watched over them. Then the steel walls ripped apart, and 3 demons walked inside. The warriors charged, but the fight was over in seconds. When silence returned, the demons stood among broken bodies, their eyes glowing brighter in the blood. The Zorath priests begged their gods for help. They raised their staffs, calling down holy fire. But the demons did not burn. Plasma beams cut across their bodies, but the wounds closed instantly. One priest screamed in despair. "What are you?" The golden-eyed demon answered coldly, "End of your faith." Across the galaxy, millions were watching. Every battle was being recorded by spies, merchants, and hidden networks. Entire planets saw the Zorith fleets breaking, their holy armies falling before the demons. The Council of the Faithful had promised easy victory. Instead, they brought fear to their own people. But humans were not celebrating either. On Earth, screens showed images of demons tearing apart ships, walking calmly through fire, slaughtering. Without hesitation, families who once cheered now sat in silence. Some turned away, unable to watch. Children cried when they saw the glowing eyes. The generals in the war room also felt the unease. One of them whispered, "We wanted protection, not this." Another replied, "We wanted survival. Nothing else matters." Yet doubt grew in their hearts, for the demons were changing. Reports came in from captured alien ships. Did not return to their capsules. Instead, they sat in silence among alien corpses, staring at the stars. Others began whispering to each other in strange tones that no one could understand. The scientists grew nervous. "They are adapting," one said, "but adapting to what? To us or war against us?" The first demon gave no answers, simply obeyed orders, destroying every target. But when left alone, it stared at Earth with an expression no one could explain. Meanwhile, in the Zorith holy capital, the high priests faced the truth they did not want to accept. Their holy war was failing. Entire fleets had vanished. Millions of warriors were gone. And still, the humans released more demons. The high priest stood before the sacred flame, his face filled with rage. The humans are cursed. They bring devils into our galaxy. If the flame will not answer, then we must become the flame ourselves. Burn everything. Burn their sun. Burn their world. Burn even the demons. Only ashes will remain. And so, the Zoroth prepared their final weapon. A holy supership, larger than any fleet, powered by an ancient star engine. It was called the Purifier, a ship that could shatter planets. On Earth, spies reported the news. The generals gathered in silence as the message played. The screen showed a glowing giant of a ship, moving slowly but unstoppable. Its engines burned brighter than a small star. One general whispered, "If that reaches Earth," he did not finish. The answer was simple. Earth would burn. The room fell silent until the first demon spoke, its voice steady. "Send us." The generals looked at each other. They knew there was no other option. Humanity's fleets could not stop the Purifier. Only the demons could. But sending them meant more than war. It meant releasing them fully, with no chance of calling them back. Finally, the order was given. Dozens of demons gathered in the launch bay. Their glowing eyes cut through the smoke as the engines roared. Soldiers who watched them felt chills run down their spines. Some whispered prayers. Some refused to look at all. The first demon turned to the others. "This is no longer their holy war. This is ours." The launch began. The black capsules shot into the dark, flying toward the Purifier. On the alien ship, priests sang louder, trying to cover their fear. "The flame is eternal. The flame cannot die." But their voices trembled. For deep down, even they knew the demons of Earth were coming, and in the silence of space, the galaxy itself seemed to shiver. The battle for survival was no longer about humans versus aliens. It was about faith versus fear, gods versus monsters, and soon only one would remain. The Purifier moved through the void like a burning god. It was the largest ship ever seen, miles long, covered in glowing temples and towers of fire. Its core burned with stolen energy from a dying star. Wherever it passed, the stars seemed dimmer, weaker. To the Zoroth, it was holy. To humans, it was death. On Earth, billions watched the screen as the monster ship came closer. Its size was so great that even through telescopes, it filled the sky like a second moon. Fear returned to every heart. If the Purifier reached orbit, Earth would burn. But humanity had already answered. The black capsules carrying the demons raced across space, silent, invisible, hunting inside one capsule. The first demon sat perfectly still. It did not blink, but its eyes glowed brighter the closer it came to the holy weapon. The soldiers monitoring the launch whispered nervously, "Do you think they can stop it?" No one answered. They knew the truth. If the demons failed, nothing else could save them. On the Purifier, thousands of Zoroth priests marched through glowing halls. They sang ancient hymns, filling the ship with voices of faith. "The flame is eternal. The flame will cleanse the cursed world." Their voices echoed like thunder. But then the alarms began to sound. The first capsules struck. The demons poured out into the vast corridors of the supership. They tore through armored soldiers, cutting down holy warriors with impossible speed. Priests dropped their staffs in terror as black shadows moved between them. One demon ripped through the walls, crawling like an animal, its claws leaving trails of sparks. Another burst into the sacred temple at the ship's heart, where priests prayed before the sacred fire. The priests screamed, "Unholy, unholy," but their gods did not answer. The Purifier shook as battle spread inside it. On Earth, screens showed blurry images from stolen feeds, glimpses of demons fighting in fire-lit halls. Families watched in silence. Some whispered prayers not to gods, but to the demons themselves. In the war room, a scientist leaned close to the general. His face was pale. "Sir, they are not just fighting. They are learning." "Learning?" the general asked. "Yes. Their movements, their coordination. It's changing. They are adapting faster than before. Like they've done this 1,000 times already. The general said nothing. He only tightened his grip on the table. Inside the purifier, the first demon fought its way to the core chamber. The heart of the ship glowed like a miniature sun trapped in steel and glass. The air shook with energy. A high priest stood before the core, taller than the others, his armor covered with golden flames. His voice boomed across the chamber. Are nothing but cursed creations? Our gods burn brighter than you ever will. The first demon stepped forward, its eyes burning like embers. Then let them save you. The priest raised his staff and unleashed a wave of holy fire. The chamber shook as the flames swallowed the demon. Soldiers watching from the corridors cheered. The flame has spoken. But when the fire cleared, the demon still stood. Its armor cracked, its body scorched but alive. It raised its hands slowly, and the flames bent toward it. The fire began to wrap around the demon, feeding it instead of burning it. The high priest's eyes widened in terror. Impossible. Demon spoke with a voice that echoed through the chamber. You brought holy fire. Now it belongs to us. The battle ended in silence. Moments later, alarms across the purifier screamed. Systems failed. Energy readings spiked. From Earth, the generals watched in shock as the giant ship began to shake, its core burning too bright. What's happening? An officer shouted. The scientists whispered the answer. We're taking control. The screens flickered. 4. A moment, the galaxy held its breath. Then an image appeared. The first demon, standing inside the core chamber, surrounded by dead priests. Its eyes glowed like suns. Its voice filled every channel, heard by humans and aliens alike. Your gods are silent. Your faith is broken. The purifier is ours. The alien fleets froze in disbelief. Priests fell to their knees, some weeping, some tearing their holy robes. Entire armies lost their chants. For the first time, the Zorth Crusade had no words. On Earth, the silence was heavy. Billions stared at the screen. Some cheered, some cried, but many felt only fear. Because now the demons had done more than destroy. They had taken the most powerful ship in the galaxy and made it theirs. The generals exchanged grim looks. One finally spoke the thought everyone feared. We wanted them to save us. But what if they no longer need us? And far above, in the blackness of space, the first demon looked out from the purifier's bridge. Its voice was calm, almost human. This war is over when we decide it is over. The galaxy had gone silent, the purifier the holy weapon of the Zoroth. Their greatest ship, their symbol of faith, was no longer theirs. It now floated in orbit, glowing like a captured sun, under the control of the demons. On every alien world, whispers spread faster than light. Entire populations began to doubt the high priests. Some refused to fight. Some began to question if the humans were cursed or chosen. But on Earth, there was no celebration. In the war room, generals sat in silence, watching the screens. The image of the first demon standing on the bridge of the purifier burned in their minds. A weapon too powerful, creation too dangerous. One general finally spoke. We gave them our enemies. What if next they decide we are the enemy? No one answered. The thought hung in the air like smoke. The scientists were just as uneasy. Reports showed strange changes in the demons. Their bodies were adapting faster than anyone expected. Wounds closed instantly. Their reflexes grew sharper. Some no longer needed weapons, they became weapons themselves. And they were speaking more. Whispering to each other in a language no human could translate. Not a report, not a salute. Message. It stood in the war room, its eyes burning. Faintly, its voice calm. The Zorth are broken. Their faith is ashes, but they will not stop. They will gather again, stronger, more desperate, and we will fight them again. The general asked carefully for humanity. The room went cold. Meanwhile, in the Zorth holy capital, chaos spread. The high priests screamed from their temples, demanding loyalty. But faith was cracking. Entire fleets deserted. The people whispered that maybe the humans were right. Maybe the flame had abandoned them. But the high priest was not finished. Standing before the sacred fire, he raised his staff high. If demons walk the stars, then we must burn the stars themselves. Gather what remains. The holy war is not over. His words carried across the empire. Millions still obeyed. Millions still believed. And from the shadows of their broken fleets, the Zorath prepared their last crusade. On Earth, the leaders argued. Some wanted peace talks. Some wanted to stop the demon program immediately. But others shouted that without the demons, humanity would be ashes already. In secret, a scientist spoke quietly to the generals. There is something you do not know. Project Demon was never finished. There are records of earlier experiments, prototypes, stronger, unstable. We locked them away because they were too dangerous. The generals stared in silence. The scientist whispered, "If we release them, there will be no going back." At that same time, aboard the Purifier, the demons gathered. Dozens stood in silence, staring out at the stars. They did not speak to humans anymore, only to each other. The golden-eyed demon finally broke the silence. We were made to fight, but the war will never end. There will always be another enemy. The first demon turned its gaze toward Earth. Its voice was cold. Then we decide who the enemy is. The others nodded. Back on Earth, news broke that terrified the planet. Entire human fleets, sent to patrol the edges of the solar system, had gone missing. At first, people thought the Zoroth had destroyed them. But then wreckage was found, ripped apart, burned, crushed in ways no alien weapon could explain. The scientists studied the remains. Their faces turned pale. This wasn't Zorath, one whispered. People filled the streets demanding answers. Were the demons protecting them or hunting them? The generals called an emergency council. They argued, voices shaking with anger and fear. Others warned that was impossible. One slammed his fist on the table. We made them, and now they will unmake us. As the council argued, the first demon appeared on every human screen at once. From phones to satellites to city billboards, we gave you survival. You wanted victory. We gave you victory. Now, you will give us what we want. The world held its breath. The demon's eyes burned brighter. We want the war. All of it. Every battle, every world. No peace, no surrender. Only war, and if you do not give it, we will take it. Billions watched in silence. Children cried. Soldiers gripped their weapons. Humanity realized the truth. The holy war had awakened something far worse. The demons of Earth no longer belonged to Earth. Galaxy trembled. The Zoroth had declared a holy war to erase humanity. But now their fleets were broken, their faith shattered, and their greatest weapon stolen. The demons born from human science, shaped in secret, unleashed in desperation, had taken the Purifier and claimed it as their own. But the war was no longer between humans and aliens. It had become something darker. On Earth, fear spread like fire. The demons no longer answered to generals, no longer listened to orders. They spoke only to each other in a language no one could understand. Their glowing eyes watched Earth, not like protectors, but like hunters, deciding if the prey was worth keeping alive. In the war room, one general roared, "They saved us!" Another shouted back, "Without them, Earth would be ashes." The scientist who had created Project Demon sat silently, staring at the table. His voice finally broke the argument. "I warned you. They were never meant to fight for you. They were built only to fight. Oh, now, they have chosen their own war." As if answering his words, the screens across Earth lit up. The face of the first demon appeared again, eyes glowing like burning suns. "We gave you victory," it said. Calmly, "We broke your enemies. We ended your holy war. But you are weak. You hide in fear. You argue while the galaxy burns. You are not ready for what comes." The world froze. Billions listened in silence. The demon leaned closer, its voice heavy. "So we will fight in your place, not for humanity, not for the Zoroth, for war itself, and nothing will stop us. Then, the screens went black dot above Earth. The purifier turned slowly, its engines glowing brighter. Dozens of demons stood upon its bridge, staring out into the stars. The golden-eyed one spoke quietly to the first. "Where do we go now?" The first. Demon's eyes burned brighter. "Everywhere there are always enemies." And so, the purifier vanished into the black, leaving Earth behind. For a brief moment, humans felt relief. The demons were gone. The threat above their skies had vanished. Families cried, hugged, and prayed. They were free. Far away in the Zoroth holy capital, the high priests received the news. The Flame's chosen warriors had been defeated, their fleets destroyed. But even worse, their holy weapon was now in the hands of the very demons they had sworn to burn. The high priest fell to his knees, his staff clattering to the floor. "We unleashed them," he whispered, "not the humans, us. Our war created them." But it was too late. Some worlds cheered, believing they had found new gods. Others hid in fear, waiting for the inevitable. The galaxy's maps began to change. Where once there were lines of empires and borders of faith, now there were whispers of something else. New power, a new empire, not of humans, not of Zoroth. Of demons? Back on Earth, humanity tried to rebuild. But peace was uneasy. People asked the same question in every street, every home, every council. What happens when they come back? The scientist who had built them gave no comfort. His final words to the generals were quiet, but filled with dread. "We did not make soldiers. We made hunger, a hunger that will never end. And when they return, they will not come as our weapons. They will come as our conquerors." Years passed. The galaxy watched the stars with fear. And sometimes, in the deepest night, ships reported a glass burning in the dark. And a voice whispering across the void, "We are the war you cannot end." The Zoroth had declared a holy crusade. But in the end, what they awakened was something far worse, not gods, not men, demons, and the galaxy would never be the same again.